I am 87 years old. I buried my wife. I buried my brother. I buried the dog that used to sleep at the foot of my bed every night for 13 years. And somewhere between all those funerals, I buried the man I used to be, the one who was afraid of failing, afraid of being alone, afraid of dying. Now, I'm not afraid of anything, and that terrifies me more than death ever did, because it means I finally see clearly. And what I see is that most of you are sleepwalking. You are alive, but you are not living. You have a pulse, but you have no fire. You wake up, check your phone, drag yourself through the same routine, collapse into bed, and call that a life. It's not a life. It's a sentence. And I'm not saying that to be cruel. I'm saying it because I served that same sentence for decades. I know what the inside of that cell looks like. I know how comfortable it gets. That's the danger. The bars don't feel like bars after a while. They start to feel like walls of a home, and you stop trying to escape because you forget you're trapped. Let me tell you about a woman named Ruth. Ruth was my wife. We were married for 54 years, and for the first 30 of those years, I didn't deserve her. Not even close. I was building an empire. That's what I told myself. I was providing. I was securing the future. But what I was really doing was hiding. Hiding behind my work because work was easy. Work had rules. Work had scoreboards. Love? Love was terrifying. Love required me to be seen, and I wasn't brave enough for that. You see, when you build things, businesses, reputations, bank accounts, you get to hide behind them. People see the building, they don't see you. And that's exactly what I wanted. I didn't want anyone to see the scared little boy from Detroit who didn't think he was enough. So I built and built and built until the walls were so high that even the people who loved me couldn't reach me anymore. Ruth used to leave me notes on the kitchen counter, little folded pieces of paper. Miss you today. Come home early? The kids asked about you at dinner. I found those notes years later in a shoebox after she passed. Dozens of them. Each one a tiny cry for help that I ignored because I had a meeting, because I had a deadline, because I had something more important to do. There was nothing more important. There was never anything more important. And I didn't know it until I was holding her hand in a hospital room, and her grip got weaker and weaker, and then it was gone. You want to know what a man thinks about when the love of his life dies? He doesn't think about the vacations. He doesn't think about the house, or the car, or the promotion. He thinks about Tuesday. A random Tuesday in 1987, when she was making scrambled eggs and humming a song she didn't know the words to. And he walked into the kitchen, and the light was hitting her face just right, and for a split second the whole universe made sense. That's what you remember. The ordinary moments, the ones you didn't photograph, the ones you didn't post anywhere, the ones that meant everything, and you didn't even realize it at the time. I'll tell you something else about that Tuesday. She looked at me and smiled and said, "Sit down, Frank. Eat with me." And I said, "I can't. I'm late." I was always late. Late for meetings, but somehow always too early to leave the office. If I could have one moment back, just one, I wouldn't choose the wedding day. I wouldn't choose the birth of my children. I'd choose that Tuesday. I'd sit down. I'd eat the eggs. I'd listen to her hum. And I'd stay until the song was over. And right now, you are surrounded by those moments. They are happening all around you. And you are missing every single one because you are staring at a screen, planning for a future that may never come. Let me tell you about fear. I spent 60 years of my life being afraid. Afraid to speak up. Afraid to take the chance. Afraid to say what I felt. When I was 34, I had an idea for a business. A good idea. My gut told me it was right, but my fear told me it was reckless. So I played it safe. I stayed in my comfortable job. I watched someone else build that exact business 5 years later. He became a millionaire. I became a man full of regret. And the worst part? The worst part wasn't watching him succeed. The worst part was knowing that I had the same idea first. Knowing that the only difference between his life and mine was that he was brave for 10 minutes and I was a coward for 50 years. 10 minutes of courage. That's all it would have taken. The phone call to the investor. The handshake. The yes. I'll do it. 10 minutes. And I traded those 10 minutes for a lifetime of wondering what if. And here's the thing about regret. It doesn't fade. People tell you time heals everything. That is a beautiful lie. Time doesn't heal regret. It sharpens it. At 34, it was a dull ache. At 87, it's a knife. The things I did wrong, I can forgive myself for. I tried. I failed. That's fine. But the things I didn't do, the chances I didn't take, the words I didn't say, those are the ones that haunt you at 3 a.m. when the house is quiet and there's nobody left to distract you from yourself. You are afraid right now. I know you are. You are afraid of quitting the job you hate. You are afraid of telling someone you love them. You are afraid of starting over. You are afraid of what people will say. Let me save you 50 years of suffering. Nobody cares. They are not paying attention. They are too busy being afraid themselves. Every person you are trying to impress is fighting their own war. They don't have time to judge yours. And even if they do judge you, so what? I have been judged my whole life. By my father who thought I'd never amount to anything. By colleagues who laughed at my ideas. By strangers who didn't even know my name. You know where all that judgment is now? Gone. Dust. Those people are dead or they've forgotten. The judgment didn't survive. But my regret? That survived everything. The only person whose opinion will matter at the end is you. And when you are lying in that bed, trust me, you will not be angry about the times you looked foolish. You will be devastated by the times you played it safe. Let me tell you about forgiveness. I had a brother named Thomas. We didn't speak for 22 years. 22 years. You know why? I don't even remember. Something about money. Something about pride. Something so small that it doesn't even register anymore. But at the time, it felt enormous. It felt like the most important thing in the world. I would lie awake at night, rehearsing arguments in my head, winning fights with a man who wasn't even in the room. I spent more energy being angry at Thomas than I spent loving the people who were actually standing in front of me. Anger is like that. It's a tenant that moves into your chest and refuses to pay rent. It takes up all the space. It eats all the food. And it convinces you that it's protecting you, that without it, you'd be weak. But it's not protecting you. It's consuming you. And by the time you realize it, you've given it the best years of your life. I called Thomas when I was 79. He picked up the phone and his voice cracked, and I could hear that he had been waiting for that call just as long as I had been afraid to make it. The first thing he said was, "I'm sorry, Frank." And I said, "No, I'm sorry." And then we both went quiet. 22 years of silence, and now neither of us knew what to say, so we just breathed. Two old men on the phone, breathing together, and that was enough. We had 3 years together before he died. 3 years, out of a lifetime. And those 3 years were some of the best I ever had. We'd sit on his porch on Saturday mornings, drinking coffee, saying nothing, watching the birds, and it was the most peaceful I'd felt in decades. But I think about the 22 we threw away, 22 Christmases, 22 birthdays, his grandchildren growing up without knowing my name. Holidays with an empty chair that everyone pretended not to notice. All because 2 grown men were too proud to pick up the phone. If there is someone in your life you haven't spoken to, call them. Today, not tomorrow, not when you're ready, now. Because ready is a lie you tell yourself to avoid doing the hard thing, and the hard thing is always the right thing. And if they don't answer, call again and again, because one day that number will be disconnected and you will spend the rest of your life dialing it anyway, just to hear it ring. So here is what I know. Here is the truth from a man who has nothing left to sell you and nothing left to gain. Number 1. Your time is almost gone. You think you have decades. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But even if you live to 90, do you understand how fast it goes? I blinked and I was 40. I blinked again and I was 70. And now I am sitting here trying to remember where it all went. When you're young, a year feels like a decade. When you're old, a decade feels like a weekend. That's not poetry. That's a warning. The clock isn't slowing down for you. It's speeding up. Every year you wait, the years get shorter. Every tomorrow, you promise yourself, arrives faster and emptier than the last. You are not promised tomorrow. Stop acting like you have a warehouse full of tomorrows stacked up somewhere. You don't. Number 2, love louder. Say it. Say it to your wife. Say it to your kids. Say it to your friend who is struggling. Say it to the stranger who looks like they need it. You are not going to run out of love by giving it away, but you will run out of chances to give it. I promise you that. I was not a man who said I love you easily. I thought it was soft. I thought real men showed love through actions, not words. And there's truth to that. But here's what I didn't understand. People need to hear it. Your wife knows you love her, but she needs to hear it on a random Wednesday for no reason. Your son knows you're proud, but he needs you to say it out loud, to his face, while he can still feel it. I told Ruth I loved her, but not enough. Never enough. And now I say it to an empty room every morning, and the words just bounce off the walls and come back to me. Number 3, burn the plan. Your 5-year plan is a cage. Your 10-year plan is a prison. Life doesn't care about your spreadsheet. The best moments of my life were unplanned. Meeting Ruth was unplanned. My daughter's laugh was unplanned. The sunset I saw in Portugal when I was 72 that made me cry for no reason unplanned. A conversation with a stranger in a coffee shop in 1991 that changed the way I thought about everything completely unplanned. You think control keeps you safe. It doesn't. It keeps you small. The tighter you grip your plan, the less room there is for life to surprise you. And the surprises, my friend, are where all the magic is. Stop trying to control everything. You can't. The river is going to take you where it wants. Your only job is to keep your eyes open while it does. Number 4, get comfortable with the end. You are terrified of death. I know because I was too. But death is not your enemy. Wasted life is your enemy. A death at 50, after a life fully lived, is a victory. A death at 95 after a life spent hiding is a tragedy. I've watched people die, more than I'd like to admit. And I'll tell you something nobody talks about. The ones who go peacefully, the ones who close their eyes with something close to a smile, they aren't the rich ones. They aren't the powerful ones. They're the ones who used it up. They spent their love. They spent their courage. They spent their time on things that mattered. And when the bill came due, they had no regrets left to pay. The grave doesn't care how much money you made. It doesn't care how many followers you had. It doesn't care about your title, or your degree, or your zip code. The grave only asks one question: did you live? I am 87 years old. My hands shake. My memory fades in and out like a bad radio signal. But I am telling you, with everything I have left in this body, you are wasting it. You are wasting the one thing you can never get back. Not money, not status, time. This moment, right now, the one you are sitting in, it will never come again. So put down the phone. Walk outside. Feel the air on your skin. Look at the people you love and actually see them. Not through a camera, not through a screen, with your own eyes. Because one day, and it comes faster than you think, you are going to reach for them, and they won't be there. I know because I reach for Ruth every morning. And every morning, the other side of the bed is cold. Don't wait until the bed is cold. Don't wait until the phone is disconnected. Don't wait until the chair on the porch is empty. I'm tired now. Go live, please.